And it was our first loss to Chicago. You want to keep talking about it?
Great.
And it was rainy, cold, shitty.
Cold, crappy.
That loss cost us the 2 seed. Now, you could say that about a lot of games this past season, but I mean,
we've gone from Johnny talking about hot dogs outside to the game over there.
That's a fair
I mean, you can say that about any of the bad losses.
Sure.
There was more than unfortunately, there was more. There was about a handful of bad losses.
But that was like the flattest loss we had.
Yeah,
it was.
So just
was it a waste of a drive out there?
No,
of course.
Chicago's. If anybody listening has not been to Chicago, which
we got to go to that.
Please go.
That brewery.
Five Rabbits.
Five Rabbits, great brewery. We got to go to that arcade the night before, which is great. And we got to see a Cubs game. I mean,
for me, it was more than...
Brewers game.
For you, it was a Brewers game.
And they won.
And for me, it was more of a trip with the boys than anything.
Yes, exactly.
And the observation deck. So
and the observation deck. And they had their very first Chicago-style pizza, which I found out you, Nels, and Tony never had when you were there.
No, we didn't. We meant to, but we never did it.
And I blame the shattering of the observation deck on one of you three. I'm not sure.
That was like months after we were there.
It was weeks.
Still your fault.
It was weeks.
Was it that time I kept jumping up and down?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, like that does not. I would never do that. I was so hesitant.
Is a good leeway in.
I was so hesitant.
Actually, I think it was only like a week.
Ooh, that is a good point, John.
It was like a week later.
You know what? The observation deck is a good segue into what
you can actually see the curvature
How about you say
of the
it?
Earth from the observation deck.
From the observation deck.
Right.
That's my line. What are you doing?
That's true. John just took your job.
Jesus.
Who's the host of this thing,
So,
John?
we've talked about flat earthers before.
Yeah.
This is very short, very brief. I saw this on Facebook. Eric Dubé, I'm not really entirely sure who he is, but he's a flat earther. He made this comment about how if you're in Anchorage, which is at 102 feet above sea level, you can see the entirety of Mount McKinley, which is from 20,320 feet.
And he makes a claim that you can see it from 130 miles away.
Right, from 130 miles away. And he says that if the planet was actually round, with a circumference of 25,000 miles, which I believe is correct. I don't know that for sure. You should not be able to see the entire mountain. First off, I've never been in Anchorage, so I don't know if that statement is correct. But
I heard it's nice though.
Based on the Pythagorean theorem, which I hate, you should be able to, in fact, see the entirety of Mount McKinley from that distance.
Yeah.
Because, I'm not going to get into it too much, a 6-foot man, woman, alien, whatever, should be able to see 3 miles as the Earth curves. You can reverse that, and you can say that distance, every 6 feet, you drop it down, you figure it out, you calculate it out, and ultimately you should only be able to miss like 200-some feet of Mount McKinley from 130 miles away.
So essentially, you think you're seeing the whole thing.
Right, and it's basically the whole thing.
It's an optical illusion type of deal. You think you're seeing the whole thing, but you're not really, but it's only a couple hundred feet. So.
So ultimately, the flat earther is an idiot because of math.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think their theory is based on math and science. You're going to have to leave those behind if you're going to go down that road. I do want to and I know we want to make this brief, but I was so curious, like, how many people actually believe that the Earth is flat? And I mean, I don't have those exact numbers. Probably nobody has them, but just... So the Flat Earth Society has a Twitter feed, and they currently have over 60,000 followers. That's about 60,000 too many, in my opinion, but I'm not even going to get into it.
I mean, there's probably a few of those followers who follow just for the sake of
it's
making fun of them.
I mean, I'm open to listening to anybody's argument. I think we do that on the show a little bit, but I mean, it's so hard for me to get behind that one, only because of my background in engineering and math and science. And it's just, so it's tough. I'll listen, but it's tough. And I will also say this, who's at fault for the rise of the flat earthers? I guess
Donald Trump.
A study blames YouTube for the rise.
YouTube,
And so, I mean, I think it's another one of those things where sometimes the loudest person in the room wins.
So YouTube is to blame because they what?
Without looking into the story and getting too in depth, I think there's too many YouTube channels out there.
It's the same thing of, you bring up Donald Trump, it's the same thing of, you get hit by this stuff so much, and you don't really look into it, and you just believe what's there, and you go, the Earth is flat.
And I mean, I just think it's bizarre because of the fact that there's a very basic, I guess I say mathematical, but it's, I suppose, geometrical theory that proves why the argument is wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I mean, obviously, you can fly all the way around the Earth.
You can.
Well, and that's the other problem that I have is if you're a flat earther, and no offense to anybody listening who is, but if you are a flat earther, then that also means you have to take a couple other leaps, and there's so many conspiracy theories that then you would have to subscribe to. Say the moon landing never happened. That's just one of them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but we talked about this on a previous podcast. Remember I told you there was flat earthers who believed if you flew around the Earth, you were transported to the other side through a
right.
And that's we're going into this wormhole here, but then you have to believe that airline pilots are in on this conspiracy.
Well, not only that, airline pilots and and all the airlines.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody who was doing the airlines.
Yeah.
And cats would all be gone too if it was flat. Just all fall off.
Cats would?
Cats would.
What? Why?
Just fall off the Earth.
Or you talking? They're going to walk to the end of the Earth and
Just fall.
what
I
about
believe
lemmings?
there's a big ice dam that prevents
there's
that,
an ice
John.
dam.
Lemmings would be no longer.
That's
you walk to
true.
the end
They
of
would
the
just
Earth,
walk
you would-
off the edge.
You couldn't
Lemmings
because
would just walk
there's a big ice dam on either side. I believe is the.
There's a big ice dam?
You couldn't walk off it.
I will say this.
You have to climb up
okay.
and over the ice
Okay.
dam.
I got my oldest son going.
It's very slippery.
I got him
it'd be
thinking
almost
I was a
impossible.
flat earther. We started talking,
That's
had a
just
conversation
mean.
about this. He's like, Dad, I'm like, no, it's flat. I can prove it to you. He's like, well, no, Dad, you're wrong. We went for about 3 hours. And I
Nice.
said he has to go back to school and ask his teacher.
Way to screw up with your kid's mind, Johnny. All right, let's get away from flat earthers. Let's get talking
Yes,
about.
please.
Let's go back to hot dogs, everybody.
Oh yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
In honor of the, I'm not even going to try and say it, but in honor of the hot dog food truck that's outside.
Okay, boys. This is a story from October 10th of this year.
Okay.
Memphis cop allegedly assaulted a woman who tried to eat a hot dog after he told her not to. This isn't just some guy. This is a cop. Okay. And the deal is, so he was
off duty, right?
He was off duty.
No,
yeah.
no, I don't. Are you sure?
I think he was. So Ralph Confer of the Memphis Police Department was on. No, he's on duty.
That's what I'm getting at.
On duty at Regional 1 Health Medical Center on September 20th, a day during which employees were holding a cookout in a police holding area. A medical technician who was also on duty asked if she could have a hot dog from the barbecue, and one employee there told her that she could. So she was on duty. She was, Confer, however, told the woman she could not have a hot dog.
Oh.
She left, came back later and asked a second person if she could have a hot dog, and was told yes by that employee. But when Confer saw the woman fixing herself a plate, the police officer allegedly walked up to her and slapped the hot dog bun out of her hand, telling the woman she couldn't have any food and had to leave through a back door. The woman said she couldn't leave through the back door and had to leave through the front door. But Confer allegedly wouldn't let her. As he tried to corral her out the back door, the police officer is accused of picking the woman up, causing her to hit her head on cabinets. Confer then reportedly threw the woman to the ground, placed a knee on her back, and handcuffed her.
Oh my God.
He then put the medical technician in a holding cell without explanation, according to the woman. A nurse at the medical center contacted Confer's supervisor, and the woman was released from the cell a short time later. She reportedly suffered a hematoma to the back top of her head, bruising on both her biceps, bruising on her shin, and soreness to her hip and lower back. Confer was arrested on Tuesday and charged with assault. He was also relieved of duty and is on non-enforcement status pending the outcome of the investigation. So here's what happened. Well, just a little. So there was obviously a little party in the police holding area.
Which is weird.
She was on duty. She came back, asked somebody if she could have a hot dog too. Because I'm sure there were plenty of hot dogs.
Sure, yeah.
And this guy was like, absolutely not. You don't work for the police.
Tony, you're jumping to conclusions there.
No, I'm reading.
Maybe was there plenty of hot dogs? Maybe
Well,
there
people are
wasn't.
saying have a hot dog, then there's plenty of hot dogs to have.
Yeah.
Okay?
And she was on duty.
And she was on duty at the hospital. Okay, these are hospital staffed.
Okay,
police
yeah,
officers.
she's like a nurse or something.
She's a nurse,
Yeah.
right? So she comes back and asks one person, hey, can I have a hot dog? That person said yes. This guy gets all pissed off because this is not a cop getting a hot dog. This is a nurse getting a hot dog.
Yeah.
She comes back again, asks again. Person says yes. She starts making the hot dog. And the cop slaps out of her hands and puts her under arrest. Over a
For a
flipping
hot
hot dog.
I mean, it's like 25 cents.
Yeah.
This is kind of what we alluded to this last episode. I mean, it's one of those things where in any 30 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago, would you have heard of this story? Now it's literally, I mean, on Fox News, let's say. I think that's where this one came from.
Fox News.
But and throw it on the internet so everybody hears about it. So it's one of those things.
But who arrests somebody over a hot dog? And a cop. It's a cop.
Well,
somebody with a power trip?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right, and I'm still stuck on this holding area. So were they like in a hospital where they hold?
Okay, so I know about these things. That because I've been in one.
Right.
But the hospitals in Minneapolis, like, what do you call it? North Memorial has a holding cell.
Or HCMC.
HCMC has a
so
holding
it's
cell.
like those are like perps who get injured, go to the hospital.
What if somebody gets shot?
Or if you're at the hospital making a scene
and you're
causing, and they can put you in that holding cell until
they chose that area to have their cookout.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, space is limited, I can only assume.
Yeah,
but I mean, the point is, I don't think she should not have been assaulted. And the cop was on duty. I mean, I did not want John eating a hot dog in the middle of our podcast. I really didn't, but I'm not going to go over there and assault
But here's
the
the
guy.
thing. Okay, here's the thing.
They're in the break.
Here's the thing.
I just like to keep our little table nice and neat. Okay. Before you get too offended, John, I'm completely kidding.
I'm offended.
Oh, too late.
I'm happy that you're justifying, or at least explaining.
I mean, I think there's some barbecue sauce on one of our coasters there.
You owe us.
It wouldn't be barbecue sauce. It would be currywurst.
That's true.
Good point. Get it right or don't get it at all.
You're right.
But here's the deal. It's one of those situations where he said no the first time. She left. She came back. This cop should have been like, all right, somebody else told her yes, it's fine. I'm not going to get pissed. But he went above and beyond the Call of Duty here.
Yeah, can you read her injuries again?
Can you what now?
Read her injuries.
Her injuries now. He assaulted her.
I got it right here. So she reportedly suffered a hematoma to the top of her head.
That's what is that? That's bruise,
essentially
right?
a bruise, maybe slightly internal bleeding, but it is a bruise essentially.
Frozen hot dog?
And then
how's it going to leave a bruise?
But that wasn't
I think the officer left it.
The bottom line is, unfortunately, this is an unfortunate story because not only was she arrested, or she was literally assaulted because. And it was rough, too, because in addition to the bruise on her head, she had bruising on both biceps, bruising on her shin, and soreness to her hip and lower back.
He threw her to the ground, put a knee on her back, and handcuffed her.
It sounds like he picked her up sideways and tried to put her through the door sideways.
Well, he was trying to get her through the door.
A couple times.
Yeah.
And then she couldn't get through the door, and then he arrested her.
I mean...
And she was working.
At least she's at a hospital.
She was on duty. Well, at least she's at a hospital. Okay, Sterling. There's a silver lining in every story.
I mean, that's insane. That's insane.
But again, we have these news stories, and they're the stupidest people ever.
I mean, if at most, let's say they went to a nice grocery store and bought the best hot dogs. Mm-hmm. You're talking like a $5 pack for like $6.
Yeah, like $1.
So at most, $1.20.
Fresh dogs.
But she was told by two separate people that it was okay.
Did the hot dogs have the casing?
I don't know.
That's important because that signifies quality.
Like quality hot dogs.
Probably was on Oscar Mayer if it's coming from a fun.
But
dog.
again,
99-cent fun dog.
Yeah. Where was this? Where was this again?
Memphis.
Oh, Tennessee.
But again, my feeling is I think maybe that cop, he was the one who bought the hot dogs.
I bet.
So he's pissed off about it.
Yeah. And so they were doing this inside?
Yeah, it must have been
it must have been like a George Foreman grill or something?
It must have been like a, they had some sort of like get together or whatever, and it was, whatever. But, I mean, come on. Stupid people in the news, again.
It's
never ending.
Never ending, yeah.
It's never ending.
Yeah. It's the beauty of the internet.
It is. We've talked about this a lot. Internet exposes everything. So now I'm getting a phone call from my wife. That's great. Great.
Rude.
She's hungover too, I'm sure. She is. They were at a Stillwater murder mystery thing last night, and
Sarah and I did one of those. Well, a friend of ours, or friends of ours, had one.